We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Toe the Line with me, George Glinsky. Tonight, joined by Ryan Barrett, who faces Dorian Darch for the British Cruiserweight title on June the 11th at BKB 26. How are we doing, Ryan?
I'm good, thank you, mate.
Man, very good. Big fight coming up, of course, the British Cruiserweight title. You've been talking about this for quite some time. You're at your natural weight, fighting a very game opponent in Dorian Darch. So how are we feeling ahead of this fight?
Oh, mate, I'm so excited. Regardless if it's a British title, world title, or whatever, just to fight Dorian Darch. It's when he fought on the lockdown show. I feel like he stole the show for me, how he was. And how he was, I spoke to him before and had a laugh with him before, and I felt like other people were after didn't even want to go and speak to him because I'm a bit intimidated. Whereas I look at him and see someone like me, so I'm not intimidated at all. I thought I want to meet that fucking rare specimen of a man over there. That's what he is, isn't he? He's a fucking Neanderthal. And how he took care of business at lockdown 1, and I looked at him, lockdown 2, I thought, wow, I want to fight that bloke. And I think Jim will tell you, I expressed an interest to fight him straight away from that.
Interesting.
They're the people I want to fight, the people that you look at and think, fucking hell, he's a problem. That's who I want to be in there with.
And he was absolutely sensational against Mason Shaw. He got him there very quickly, but his second...
Yeah, and he's like a psycho as well. He was like psychotic, and you got to like a psycho, ain't you? You got to love that.
He was something else, but obviously his second fight against Jody Meikle, that didn't go to plan. That's a man you've faced yourself 3 times in the amateurs. You've beaten him twice. He's beaten you. It was a bit of an exciting rivalry back in the day. So what did you make of that? Because that wasn't as impressive from Dorian Darch on that night.
Well, I'll be honest. Until I found out that there was the last fight, after my fight, I was just wanting to see my missus and have a laugh. And then when I realised it was Jody on, I said, Jody, I think Jody will win. I said, he's had... I spoke to him before, and he told me he'd been out before, and he's had 11 days notice. I said, that's just who he is as a bloke. He's like me. You could get up off someone's kitchen floor in the morning and get in and fight, and we both have. And I just know what a tenacious man he is, and he won't be intimidated, and he don't care if he gets hit. He don't care if you chop an arm off, he's going to come out with the other arm. And there's not many people who are genuinely like that. I'd say there's me, Nathan DeCastro, and Jody Meikle, a couple of others I can mention. But there's not many people who genuinely are willing to go that all that way. And he showed he was. And Dorian's face let him down. But Dorian showed he's the same, but also showed he could be outboxed. You know what I mean? He could be outboxed. His aggression could be negated by a bit of movement. So for people who know what they're on about, people who know what they're looking for, there's things there that you could gain from that. But there is in everyone's fight, and everyone fights different when they're in with somebody else. So, well, fair play to Jody. Yeah, on that night, he had the better strategy, caught him with the better shots, which luckily cut his eye and left him unable to continue. But I don't now look at that fight and think anything less of Dorian. I just think Jody's a fucking naughty bloke. And he can cause anyone a problem. He's caused me problems before. And I believe he'll cause anyone problems with no gloves on. He's like me. He's better fighter with no gloves on.
What do you feel went wrong then from Dorian's perspective? He was ahead on the scorecards. He was cut early. And then, of course, that cut worsened throughout the fight and he was pulled out in the 4th round.
I just think in bare knuckle, like, if you get caught or you're susceptible to cuts, yeah, you ain't got gloves to protect you. So if that's how you are, how your face is, like Dorian's got obviously scar tissue from his professional boxing career, which when caught with a knuckle, unless he's someone who can get in there and not get hit, he's going to get caught. So that's unfortunate that he's had such a long pro career, and he's obviously took hammer in that. But in bare knuckle, like if you get hit clean, 9 times out of 10 you're going to get caught. So I don't think Dorian did anything wrong. He was winning the rounds. He's just in with somebody who's got hands like fucking lump hammers and an head like an anvil. So the shots he caught him with would have put probably anyone else away, and he wouldn't have got caught. But he's in there, Jody Meikle, who's got a brain the size of a fucking popcorn kernel like me. So he weren't going.
That's the perfect analogy for Jody Meikle. That is class.
I'm the same. I'm the same. Hit me over there. I got hit over there with a bar stool once, and had 56 stitches. And the doctors wouldn't do the stitches on me because they didn't believe I hadn't been unconscious. Until I said, "Well, you actually stitched my eye up last Boxing Day. It was you." And I came in at 1:30 in the morning. She went, "Oh God!" Looked at the record. She went, "Go on, Ed. I believe you." She didn't believe I hadn't been knocked unconscious. My whole head was open. I drove myself there and got stitched up, and then drove back and carried on working on the door. And Jody's the same sort of person as me. He's just like, you can hit him without, and unless you switch his brain off, he's still going to be there. So Dorian caught him with some big shots, some good shots as well, and he just started when he didn't even hit him.
Wait a minute. I mean, you guys, of course, have fought 3 times in the amateurs. He's fighting, defending his world heavyweight title against Daniel Podmore. You're fighting for the British title at cruiserweight. There's a lot of talk about this potentially elevating you to a world title shot. Is that the sort of opponent you'd be looking at next if you get that win and you go on to the world title?
Well, yeah. I want the people who I look at, I think you're going to cause me a problem. And Jody has never not caused me a problem. Jody with gloves off will cause anyone a problem. But by the same context, I'm a fucking problem as well. So me and Jody, that would be a fight. That would be something like Lerwell and Nelda. Yeah, it's a shame Nelda's a good friend of mine. When we spar, it would make your dick hard. Yeah. If you watched it. Yeah, so Nelda's someone who like, in an ideal world, if we weren't friends, if he wasn't in a different company, I would love to have a fight with, because that would be a fucking absolute one of the best fights ever. And I believe me and Jody will be, if it happens, which I think it will.
Definitely.
And I have respect for Jody. He's a good pal of mine. But I know me and him will try and punch each other's face in and have a beer after, like we have done previously.
For sure.
And I think I'll be the same with Dorian. I think that would be exactly the same. Dorian, he's cut from my cloth. He's like me. He starts having a scrap, likes a beer. No, I'm too young. You know what I mean? That's why we're in this game. There's not many people like it, and that's why people like me and him are going to face each other, and may the best man win.
Definitely. But obviously, Dorian Darch first. I've got to get a little bit of an insight into what you think about the man without giving away too much. When you look at Dorian Darch, what sort of threats does he pose as an opponent?
Power, aggression, size, strength, experience. He's a tough test for anyone. A big name, but he's not just a big name. He's in there and he's fucking means business. It looks like a shark, the cunt. So that excites. That puts a lot of people off. That don't put me off. That excites me. I think you're someone like me. Me and you should fight. Yeah, because you're someone I want to be in there with. You know, like the kids at school that avoid each other. I'm not that kid. I'm the one who wants to fight the other kid from the other school. And that's Dorian. Dorian's me from the valleys. I honestly think that, mate, we're the same sort of people.
Yeah. Is that what you expect?
That makes for a great fight.
Yeah. You expect a sort of a dog fight, an inside fight, or we're going to see a little bit more technical boxing than that?
Mate, you don't know, do you? You don't know. I know people are going to look at my past fights and think this or that, but I'm improving all the time. So you can look at all my fights. I'm different in every one. Yeah, I'm an improving fighter all the time. I don't know if Dorian's still improving. I don't know how long he's been doing it. You can change things. I don't know, but I don't care either. Whatever happens in there happens, and the winner will be the person who can find a way to deal with whatever the person is bringing. And I'm not going to go off his past. I'm going to go off what happens on the night. And I believe I've got enough boxing IQ, enough fitness, enough physical robustness, enough power to get the job done.
In your last fight against Simon Sinkovic, I think to date, maybe you would edge the Matthew Hodgson win just because of how emphatic it was. But in terms of a performance, it was a pretty damn impressive performance. You were tagged a few times by Simon. You gave a lot back. It was a fight which sort of introduced you to a lot of the same scenarios as the fight against Holmes. But ultimately, you came away with the victory. You boxed extremely well. So we learn and we grow with every fight. So how different of a fighter are you now in comparison to that fight?
Well, Against Anthony Holmes, I didn't have a coach there with me. So I went and had a British title fight on my own. Yeah, with just a lad who was free on the weekend to come down with me. I didn't warm up. Yeah, I didn't have any kind of advice in the corner. Sammy was coming to give me water. He didn't even put the stool in. Yeah, I'm not calling him because he's my pal, but he did not know what he was doing. Yeah, and so I got in there and just fought off instincts, which against someone as good as Anthony Holmes is the wrong thing. Yeah, and which for the first 2 rounds against Sinkerfix is what I did. But then obviously I've got people in my corner, Jay Pateman, giving me advice and telling me to stick to my boxing. And because when I was giving that advice, yeah, I can box, yeah, but my instinct is to fight. So then when I've thought about the job and started boxing, got him out of there. Yeah, and I honestly believe if I had somebody there giving me advice against Anthony Holmes, maybe the outcome would have been different. But I don't want to take anything away from Anthony on that night. He schooled me. Yeah, and fair play to him. Absolute fair play to him. That's what a champion does to a challenger. And I feel like through being a challenger there and coming up short, hopefully now I've got enough in the arsenal to become the champion. And if I ain't, then it's the same again. But the next time I will have. I ain't going nowhere until I've got them belts. And it's as simple as that. How many times I've got to pick my arse up off the floor, I don't care. How many times my face has got to get smashed in, I do not care. I will not stop until I'm champion. As simple as that.
Is that the difference then? Just having that word of advice behind you. Obviously, you said you were without a trainer against Holmes.
Yeah. I started boxing to keep myself out of trouble. Yeah, and I've not had somebody who's made me believe in my skills like Rendell Munro has. Yeah, I've always got by on progression, being fit, and just not being a psycho. And Rendell's got it into me. He said, Ryan, you're a good fighter. If you box, no one really beats you. If you box how I know you can box, you will win. You don't need to be fighting like that. So when someone gets me in the right mentality, in the right headspace, which Rendell and Jay did in the minute I had between the second and third round, I came out a different man and boxed his head off. And that's what I'm looking to go in and do, not waste a round, 2 rounds scrapping when I don't need to. I can box. And I feel like the more fights I'm having, the more better boxing you're going to see.
Definitely. So with this fight against Dorian, people are going to be tuning in for the first time. They might not have seen you fight. They might not have seen Dorian fight. So why should people, before we go into sponsors and thanks and so on and so forth, why should people tune particularly into your fight?
Into my fight? Because if you want to see someone who's going to lay it all down on the line, roll the dice. Yeah, some people get in there to talk and go, get in there and shit the pants. Yeah, on the night, I'm being me when I get in there, and me at my best is worth a watch. And Dorian, I say the same about Dorian. Like, normally I don't even watch the other fights, and I don't mean any disrespect by that. When Dorian came in, I stood there, my mouth open like a school kid at a fair ride. Yeah, so the guy's a freak. He's a big physical presence. Yeah, and I like to think I'm building the same sort of aura about myself, and that's why fighting these people is what builds that.
I say it's certainly when you were standing there. I can't remember who you were walking out on the last card, and it slipped my mind. I think it was Eric Olsen. I believe, was it Eric? Or
the last one, Nathan De Castro.
Nathan De Castro, that's it. And I saw you in the back there, and I turned, and I remember looking, and the music had come on, and you were at the back there, and you had that look. You had that look in your eyes as if you were fighting, and I just thought, that's a scary man. So I think you're doing a very good job of making that your own in this fight game. So yeah, so this game, this fight is going to be extremely exciting for anyone that wants to watch this fight. It will be on Fight TV on the 11th of June. But finally, before we close things off, Ryan, anyone you want to shout out? I understand you might have a few sponsors, you might have forgotten a few, but we'll get through them.
I've got quite a few sponsors, but people I want to firstly, I want to thank my missus Lucy Cresswell. Yeah, without her, none of this would be happening at all. I won't go into reasons why, but she knows why. I want to thank my coaches, Rendell Munro, Mikolai, I can't pronounce his surname, Ukrainian, Rob Thurston, for conditioning coach, Simon Aycock. Then we've got sponsors, so obviously Klakoff Clothing, DK Created and Richard Lee. They were making all these tops for me. Gino, Will at Safety Bubble, Premier Gym, Strong Drives, Leicester Bulls, Craig Flynn. Okay, now I've got so many. I don't want to leave it out. Plum, Tree Surgeons, Premier Logistics. Fucking hell. Grey Ridgeway, Warfight Management. So many. Like anyone who've left off, yeah, you'll be all on my t-shirts to walk out, and I'll give you a mention in the next interview. I mean, I get punched in the face daily. You've got to give me some slack. I ain't going to remember all this. I'm not Rain Man.
Probably the most impressive list I've ever seen without the actual physical list.
Oh, mate, the list goes on. The list goes on. I'm a sponsorship whore.
But as always, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and I will see you on Fight Night.
Cheers, pal.
Cheers, pal.